Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good night. We are the Melanated Council. Sorry, I didn't realize where my hand was, so I kind of overshot that point. And we stream every Tuesday night, roughly around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you're looking at the clock and it is neither in the 9 p.m.s or in the 6 p.m.s, then that's when we stream. Don't I am way too tired to figure out time zones. But as always, please like, subscribe, and enjoy the show. Hey, Rocky. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, it just had to get some things situated. Um, yeah, like it's weird. I feel as though as y'all know, I dislocated my shoulder, hence why I'm wearing this sling. I'm not wearing it as a fashion statement, even though it doesn't look too bad against the red and the white. There's that YouTube notification. Hey, yeah, sorry, y'all, sorry. Hey, Mish. How's it going? How's it going? But yeah, no, I apologize for running a little late. I don't know. It seems like we're on your time. No, I appreciate you guys. I really do. Like, I'm not gonna lie. This dislocated shoulder it's been rough, especially because my right shoulder. Like, I had really no idea how much I've taken my right arm, my right shoulder. Right now, actually. Yeah. No, Toby should be joining pretty soon, so that's good. But yeah, like this shoulder's really been just slowing everything down for me. Like just doing basic things just takes a long time because I have to I mean, it's a good thing I'm wearing the sling, so it really does remind me not to use this arm. So I'm using my left one, and I am not left-handed. Mm. Running the stream single-handedly. Literally. Oh, man. But yeah, no, it's just been pretty rough. I do see a follow-up with the orthopedic next Monday, so 6 days from now. You probably say 5. Like, Tuesday is pretty much done on the East Coast. We got 3 hours of it left. Pretty sure it's gonna be pretty safe. It's pretty safe to call it. Don't think there's any hanging chads. I'm pretty sure it's safe to call that I have about 5 more days until I see my follow-up appointment. Hopefully, they tell me I don't have to wear the sling all the time, and I can just be slingless and go see my physical therapist and try to be a two-shouldered person once again. You know when you know when one of your nostrils is clogged for whatever reason? Even if you're not sick, you could just be kinda cold or, I don't know, fans running in your house, and you start to think about all the times you had both nostrils, and you're like, "Wow, I was taking those times for granted." That's how I feel. I had no idea I was taking my right shoulder, both shoulders technically, 'cause my left shoulder is kinda messed up, but it's functioning enough, but I've been taking my right shoulder for granted this whole time. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, if you're new to the show, we usually like to talk about what's been going on with us before we get to the topic, because sometimes our topics can be pretty negative and or just tough or hard. So like sometimes it can be kind of annoying to really just get into the topic because life sucks already, and then to just throw out some more sucky shit, just it's kind of redundant. So, what have I been up to besides missing my right shoulder? I feel like I did stuff. I was hanging out with my boyfriend's friends a lot over the weekend. That was pretty fun. I feel like I did something. I can't remember. I don't know. Just been what are we being buttered up for? What? No, 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 no. It's not I don't think it's gonna get into a dark I don't think it's gonna get into a negative dark topic this tonight, but sometimes we do. And that's all I'm saying. Just a general statement to anyone who's new. Y'all aren't being buttered up for anything. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I could really anything's really been going on with me except just I don't know, living the sling life, and I've been getting better with my left hand, which is kind of cool. Didn't didn't know I could. I occasionally have to write things. I had to write something for my therapist. I had to do like a make a list of things about a thing that we've been discussing, and it's kind of fun writing with my left hand because it's so bad at it. But lately, it's been getting better. Today, I went out to a restaurant and I put the tip. I paid with credit card, so they gave me the receipt with the where you write in the tip and the total, and I had to do the little dollar sign, and I did 3 because the meal was only about $14, so I tipped about $3. Um, but it was hard. It was hard writing it, but I've been getting better. I signed my name pretty well, so that's really good. I never knew that if I just practice with my left hand, I'd actually get better with my left hand. I know it sounds like a no shit Sherlock moment, but since I've always had my right hand, I just used my right hand. No YouTubers out there. I'm quitting YouTube video. No. No, I'm talking about the name of the episode, what's being taught in schools. Because I don't know. It could just it may get dark. I don't know. Uh, I was about to tell us about the first Pride Month of Florida. Yeah, that guy. I really can't believe he's like a real person. Apparently, I just saw that he signed something about having minor league baseball players get paid less than minimum wage. Like, why? Why? Name with your left hand is easy. It's only one letter. Well, it's 2 letters if I include my last name. It's in the drive-through now. No. Are they? Oh my god. Yo, Rocky, I was ordering online at Chipotle the other day and they asked for a tip like online. I was like, dude, I haven't even received the food yet. I don't know. I mean, granted, yeah, well, Grubhub and DoorDash and those places, you're tipping the driver, which I can understand. But like the tip Chipotle, and I used to always use Chipotle as the joke example of, oh man, everywhere's asking for tip. Chipotle's asking for tip, and Chipotle never used to ask for tip for sure, and now they are. Used to make left hand people right. Often the cause of stutters, actually. So people who are left-handed, who I understood, I remember, I knew that left-handed people were considered evil or wrong or something, because if you're not like the majority, then there's something clearly wrong with you and you're not just left-handed or, you know, gay or trans or something. It's just you're just wrong. But so people trying to write with their left hand, no, write with their right hand when they're left-handed made them stutter? Stutter as in speech? Dark place. Tipping culture is out of control. It is. It really is. It's gone insane. How can Chipotle not afford their workers is beyond me. But hey, Gil, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. When it comes to fast food, only tip if they're giving me a discount on the meal. That's fair because every fast food place is making bank. I don't know what we're tipping. That's the confusing part. I usually go get We should go to a coffee place and get some. I usually get tea because I'm not really a big coffee drinker. I usually get tea, and I ask for maybe like almond milk or oat milk or something in my tea because I don't know. We're Jamaicans. We're a British colony, so we like milk in our tea. And I just feel like, and then they ask for the tip, and then it'll be like 25%, 20%, 22%. It's like that's a lot. That's a lot, and you feel bad if you don't tip them. And I always tip because, like, I get it, like, I'm sure the baristas at these fancy coffee places that, you know, that are, like, small businesses, they probably don't pay them all that well, so I get it, but I don't know. When you try to work against people's wiring, it has many detrimental effects. That's true, yeah. Wow, though. That's insane. But that makes so much sense. Pita Pit, and they make unbelievable amounts of money. Really? Go Pita Pit, people. Haven't been to a Pita Pit in so long, and there's one like right around the corner from me. They're really good. I'm trans, bi, and left-handed. 3 reasons to write thinks I'm evil. That's awesome. You're left-handed though, and trans and bi. I just didn't know you were left-handed. I'm trying to imagine what. So business card in my pita. That's hilarious. But well, do you know who would totally eat the business card in the pita? Y'all. This person who I'm about to bring on will not only accidentally eat the business card in the pita, he will ask if you can add more business cards to the pita the next time he goes to Pita Pit just so, just because he liked the flavor. Okay. Not working, not working. This man, you all know, is the reason why your girl is friends with you just so they could be closer to him. They're only dating you to get closer to this man who I'm about to introduce and bring onto the show. He is fortunate enough to be here because if he was not, he would be with your girl right now. I promise you he would. With that, I bring on the one, the only, the amazing Toby.
Yo, thank you for the intro. Y'all right. I mean, you're right. This is a safe time. This is a safe space, not just for the topics we discuss, but it's a safe space to hide your wife, hide your girl, and At least you have a 2 to 3 hour window where where she's safe. He says there's the other room. Your sister said they live within 1,000 miles. I'm dead. See, go. I wasn't even gonna say anything. I was like, I'm not gonna even mention anything. But
Within 1,000 miles.
1,000 miles. What? How big is the U.S.? Like, let's do a little like radius. I don't even know. I just know that 400 plus is between Boston and here. I'm sure it would be at least 1,000 from Boston to Florida. So that's
It's like 1,200
1,200. Okay.
or
Okay.
so.
So there is some safety if you're really far north and south, or of course east to west. I'm dead. The chat is doing professional networking. No, Mish, this is me too. Like, I'm like, I should be. I mean, in general, I'm like when I even go to conferences, and I'll like be making jokes on social media, taking pictures of not the recruiters per se, but like the tables, um, and just making jokes. I'm like, this is why I'm not getting hired by any of these companies, because I I don't even remember. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I'm like, I'd rather make jokes than be serious with networking. But I have been networking actually
Nice.
pretty deeply within my company recently, so that's cool. Yes, Mish. Good to see everyone in the chat. Glad everyone's here. Yes, tipping culture is strange. What you were saying, L, about tipping. Well, pickup tipping is strange. And when they even ask, I'm just like, what? I mean, it really
I know.
depends.
It's so awkward. I still tip then too. Like I have a inner battle with myself. I'm like, you know what I did today? Actually, I actually took out some cash out of the bank
Mm.
just so I could not tip because they only ask for the tip from with the receipt or if you swipe your card. But if you just give them cash, they can't do that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. like,
Interesting.
like they might have like the tip jar to lure you, but you could just put in change and maybe like $1 depending on the price, so you don't feel like you're spending too much. But yeah, I'm going back to using cash because I'm so done thinking that a meal at lunch is going to be about $12 and ends up being like 14, 15,
Mm.
or worse when I think it's going to be under 10, and then with tip it becomes like it's like, oh man, it was 9.84. Now it's going to be like 11 something. So if I just give them a $10 bill, it's like boom. Also, cash is king, so they get more money out of it anyway. Because a lot of card companies, like, they take a little bit of money out. Like if you
Mm.
charge with Amex and Discover, Visa, Mastercard. That's why what's it called? That's why I think Costco doesn't use Amex anymore. Doesn't accept Amex.
Mm.
Because
Interesting.
yeah, because Amex charges a lot to the company, and Costco is like, no, we're done.
Mm. It's interesting. They just don't accept it. Yeah, Amex. I think I've never had one. Like maybe I got a gift card once that was technically Amex, but that's a prepaid gift card or whatever. But I've never had a real Amex card, and they do seem notorious for being the priciest. Um, Visa Gang. I had like one Discover card. That was my first credit card, just from when I was a student.
Mm-hmm.
Even recently, that account. That's a whole longer story. But that I don't have that account. It closed some months ago, and so I'm like, okay, really, I just have Visa and like one Mastercard, which is Bank of America, which is cool actually. Like I don't mind. But Amex was just like, this is a lot. Like, the interesting thing about them, because I had an interview with Amex some years ago, for an internship, and I got to go to New York City to their like office right by the World Trade Center. So this is like 2018. I mean, it was so like it happened so quickly that I was just like I barely had time to prepare. And so the question they asked, like the interview was way more technical than I did the first round when I did like a little like WebEx call or whatever it was, or go to meeting.
Yeah.
That was a lot more technical, I feel like, with the questions they asked, or at least it seemed to be a little more geared towards like asking questions about machine learning data, like some probability stuff, something about, well, they asked kind of the basic intro questions about machine learning, what happens when you have like your data matrix and you're doing certain I can't remember the things right now, but there were certain things that you do typically when you're trying to like figure out stuff. And I was like, okay, cool, I can answer these. And then I get to the in-person interview and it's like they ask, so how do we make money? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I mean, my first question was just like, oh well, interest. Actually, the first person that asked this, I just said, well, you make money off of interest. And they took that answer. The second person, the lady who asked, so the first guy, yeah, he didn't ask anything, but the second woman, she said, well, we do, but that's not really how our business model would be dependent, because what if everyone paid on time? And so I'm like, good question. And so I'm like, this is interesting. And I don't remember like what else I said, well, maybe it was through partnerships like Apple Pay, Google Pay, things like that. And they said, well, if anything, we might be losing money, or we might have to be paying them to be on their service. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. So basically the answer was, and it kind of blew my mind because it makes so much sense, is that businesses pay to accept the card service, which of course you can extrapolate to every other card service as well. And I was like, oh, so Amex actually, and that's just an interesting question. How do you make money? Like, it's not something I think about, but like for companies where it's not just a very obvious, I'm paying for like, a store. But even then, you have so many different revenue streams, I'm sure, like the wholesale versus the retail and all these other things. But that was like, maybe I should know how more companies actually make money, because, especially free companies or companies where it's like you don't explicitly pay, like you don't pay for these credit cards unless it's a really fancy one. So that is a good point. Well, how does this company make money? And so, yeah, so I was like, oh, that's embarrassing, but okay, that makes sense. But yeah, the reason I mentioned that is because Amex, it seems like they have the worst of the fees. And I've seen other places where it says Amex not accepted, usually like smaller stores or something. I don't remember big chains that I can think of right now that don't accept Amex, but some smaller stores might say on the little reader, it'll say Visa, Discover,
How do I make money?
MasterCard. How do I make money?
Excellent question, me.
Everyone paid on time. I mean, yeah, Chad, like, of course, they definitely build it in. Like, and this was like the risk department, like the risk analysis or something. And so it was all based on like probability and other stuff. So I'm like, of course, they have to like build in. There's a factor of people who aren't paying on time. Like, they literally at one point asked about like how they figure out the threshold of, what kind of credit limit or how to accept people. And it was some probability based thing. And then they use that multiplied by, I don't know, the revenue, I guess, and then that gives you the credit line. And I was like, oh, look, we're doing math in real time. Like, I felt better after like bombing the previous question to like follow along with the next few ones. So I'm like, everything is so probability based that it's like, of course, like they're gonna have that baked into the revenue, but whatever. I don't have a Costco membership, but I did go. My mom, growing up, I went to Sam's Club all the time with my mom. So like in family in general, but I never got my own Sam's membership. And when I was in Massachusetts, Costco was the most popular one. And I didn't bother getting a membership up there, even though I always got things in the mail, Costco's and BJ's, that would like, oh, free or $25 membership for a year or something ridiculously cheap. And I just never signed up,
Oh,
all those mailers.
I always take advantage of the $25 BJ's one. Like I'm actually waiting for that letter to come in the mail.
I should actually. I really like for this new address. If I get something, I think I will actually sign up for it. Or also my brother too, if he has a membership for any of these things.
Yeah, that's always a good idea because since it's just you and him, like you don't need a lot of stuff constantly. That's why I don't mind waiting for the for the $25 one.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, I'm gonna run out of paper towels eventually, or toothpaste, or something, and I'll be on Amazon at the same time seeing if it's cheaper on Amazon. Sometimes it is. So I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna buy it here.
Mm.
But There's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
paper plates, like cups. Sometimes if I'm hosting something, it always comes in clutch. And it came in clutch when we had that gas shortage down here from the rain. It wasn't. It just rained a bunch, and it flooded out our port where they ship in the gas,
Mm.
and there was just a massive gas shortage. I had to, and I like when I was driving home, I was looking at, I think it was Gas Buddy or some gas app
Yeah.
that my boyfriend told me about, and apparently like the BJ's that was somewhat on the way home. Like, yeah, if I take like a slightly different route, it wasn't that much out of my way. But once I was like in the gas line, and I was also like looking up my BJ's membership to see if it expired or not because I wasn't sure when I got it. I think this was like April 17th, and my membership ended April 30th. So
Mm.
I was I was just in time. I was like, my gas light went on. I was like, I really hope I can get gas here. I'm gonna look like a fucking idiot if I,
Oh
if
no,
I
yeah.
can't get the gas.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing I forget is that you can actually get gas in these places. Like Sam's Club, that was something that happened all the time. Again, when we were going there. When I say growing up, honestly, I remember this mostly like middle high school, so kind of like my older era of growing up. But still, I just remember like, yeah, a gas station was there. I don't even know what the discount was, but that was very frequent. That if we, especially after church on Sunday, we're going shopping at BJ or Sam's Club, and then just get the gas. Um, and okay, yeah, good Mish, because I was gonna look that up for later, but I'll definitely watch that because I need more comedic things, especially that classic stuff that I've never watched. Like I'm like, ooh, like Seinfeld. That's a show that I really need to like at least watch some of. Because I feel like there's just so many classic things and like good like scenes and skits or like things that are referenced, and I'm like, I have no idea what that is. You know,
So, Toby,
yes.
do you want to introduce our next host?
Ah, oh man, the next host. Well, let's just say that it has been most sad without this host the last few weeks, but this host is doing literally the most. And not to boast, but they, or I should say, he's a pretty great guy. We've really gotten a pretty good host here who is always doing so much for other people, even doing whatever he needs to do late at night in terms of work to provide and just he just seems to be everything. If you want to say a jack of all trade, and I still feel like he's a master regardless. So he's always looking at different kind of hustles. He's always able to kind of step into his community or school and take roles on that are needed. um and if you mess with his daughters or his family, you are toast because this man knows a thing or two when it comes to the Second Amendment. So don't play around. Don't play with it, as a certain rapper once said. Don't play with it. Don't play with it because he will not play with you. But let's bring on the stage our wonderful co-host, last but not least, the wonderful Ron 2K10.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you for this. It's been a while, you guys. Holy crap, it's been a while. It has been a while. What is going on? Yes. A man with unique set of skills. Yes. 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 I am Liam Neeson. I am Liam Neeson. Yes. I will come find you. When I find you, it's gonna be some questions left unsaid. Majority of the time unanswered. But yes, oh my gosh, I miss you guys. I miss you guys so much. Not
Yeah, we
just
missed you
Toby, not
too.
just L, but you guys in the chat. Oh my goodness. And again, just to pick up what Toby was saying, like, yes, work has been kicking my patootie, but we closed early because we're getting some new equipment installed. And so my manager, like, do you need to go at 9 o'clock? I was like, yes. If I can get out by 9 o'clock, yeah, Chad, what's up? What's going on? What's going on? So yeah, like I was saying, my manager said, "Do you need to be gone by 9 o'clock?" I was like, "Yes." If I can be gone by 9 o'clock, you know, that would be great. If I need to stay a little bit after 9, that's okay. But yeah, I need to be gone by 9. She's like, okay. So we had a big rush. What's going on, Gil? We had a big rush towards the tail end of my shift. And so she said, "Hey, Ron, get up out of here." I'm like, okay, don't got to tell me twice. I'm out.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, yeah, no, it's been really, really nice and enjoyable. And this past weekend, I had the pleasure of officiating um, a marriage.
Mm,
And so,
okay.
Nice.
yeah,
Congrats. That's
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. So just the this is well, this is my second marriage that I have officiated, but this is the first one I was able to do with the title of pastor. So it was kind of neat,
Mhm.
really
That
neat,
is really
really
cool.
really
That is
neat.
really
And so I know I know me, the bride and the groom, we were talking last week, and they wanted to do a bigger one with their families coming in this coming up Saturday. But because of the fact that I typically have my Saturdays off, I was like, yeah, sure, no big deal. I think I have my Saturdays off, but if anything changes, I'll let you guys know. So check my schedule today, and sure enough, I work Saturday.
Mm,
So
Hmm.
I know I know originally they wanted to do it on Father's Day, and if that's the case, I don't mind. I really don't mind, being a part of that celebration on Father's Day because I think it's cool.
mm,
It's really cool, to see not just her side of the family, but his side of the family, and just have a really good time. So we'll see. We'll see what the bride says, what the groom says, and if they get somebody else, that's fine. Like I personally just enjoy the fact that last week Saturday I was able to do their ceremony for them, and it was cool. It was sweet. I'm like, you know what? That's what's up. I love it.
Hmm.
I love it. So yeah, I'm in just oh my goodness, week has been a whirlwind for
mm.
sure. This week has been a whirlwind. It's been a good whirlwind, but I'll take it.
I can imagine.
I will take it. And so, when Toby says like, jack of all trades, pretty much master of something, pretty much, yeah, master of some things, not everything, master of some things, jack of all trades. So it works. It works. And even then, um, when he mentioned the hustler part, I immediately thought about 50 Cent's Hustler's Ambition. If you know, you know.
Is this Hustler Baby? Or that might not be a different song.
No,
No, no, that's Jay
that's Jay
Z.
Z and
That's Jay
Pharrell.
Z.
That's it. That's clear.
Yeah, yeah, no. 50 Cent
Thanks for hitting
Hustler's
that high
Ambition.
note,
That song,
Toby.
right, right. Especially that nice falsetto. Yeah,
Hmm.
go
Oh
ahead,
yeah.
Toby.
Oh yeah. No, that's something I haven't pulled out at least as much in a while. But that's different story.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But no, like I said, that's pretty much the way how I look at things because even then when I got hired in, they're like, is this like your primary job? Like, no, this is like my second. This is like my gig work. Like, oh, so what do you do then? Like, I work for the school district. Like, so is that your primary? Like, no, not necessarily. Consider that one as a gig work too. They're like, wait, what? So do you not have a primary job? Like, technically, not really.
Hmm.
Yep,
Can't be
the
revealing all the
secret.
secrets.
Oh, oh, Toby. We
Comes in saying he's
okay,
Pharrell's
okay,
cousin.
Toby. There you go. There you go. Either that or Babyface. One of the two.
You said, or what was the other thing?
Babyface.
Babyface.
Oh, the baby face. Yes. Apparently, it's a thing.
Just saying. Between one of them two, they taught you a thing or two. They taught you a thing or two.
I'm dead.
So nah, you ain't dead yet. We still got a whole show to do. You can't die yet. Mm-mm. Nope.
Fair
After
enough.
the show, if you wanted this, after the show, if you want to commit seppuku, then go for it. Otherwise, nope.
Unfiltered. See, this is why I gotta love this. Just that, there's a little bit, honestly, of like a edginess that I remember that some of my friend groups had, where it was like commits like Sudoku. Like that's like a common thing I remember seeing on the internet like 10-ish plus years ago. Commit Sudoku and other things. And Hero, terrible, but it's it's actually so terrible. But like that is like peak like 4chanery. And so it's like, oh man, I remember like this used to be pretty common, like references to seppuku or Sudoku or and Hero and just things like that, very casually in the groups or group chat or whatever equivalent. Anyways, not an important tangent.
Right. So, L, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Yeah. As you all know, this month's topic is education, schooling,
Mhm.
and tonight's episode, we want to talk about what's being taught in schools exactly. It doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't just have to be like the names of classes and things like that. It could also be also, what did you say, Toby?
More philosophical.
Yes. I'm gonna say metaphorical. I was like, nope, that's incorrect. Like that.
I don't think if that's even the word, but like a kind of more, I guess so, just like a general sort of like, what are our kids learning and what is being taught? Values, I guess.
Because like I know for some of us it's been a while since we've been in K through 12. That's pretty much what we're mainly talking about. But you do learn a lot in terms of like socializing, and you start to become your own person because school
Mhm.
is the first time you're away from your parents, especially when you're 3, 4, 5 years old. I started school at 5. I know some people started school earlier. Some people may have started school a little later. But most of us start school around 5. So it's sort of crazy to think that literally everything you learned was pretty much from your home life, your parents, your siblings, and TV. I grew up watching Barney.
Mm.
Mhm. Classic.
Yeah, and I know that I used to spend days with my great grandmother. Like she would babysit me, so I can't remember what we would watch. I think I would just watch cartoons. I think that's pretty much what I would be doing just all day, just sitting in front of the TV watching cartoons.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and then you go to school, then you start to learn and, socialize, and you start to get pretty much the other side of you, or start to explore different sides of you and start to realize. I was talking to my therapist a couple of weeks ago kind of about this. Um, like when you're when you become a teenager, when your kids become teenagers, or probably maybe it's a little bit, maybe tweens, like 9, 10, 11, 12, they kind of start to change. And it's because from that point on, like from that point before, all you learned was, like what I said, was your family life, what your parents taught you. And then you're interacting with like
Mhm.
these kids at school, and the things that your parents taught you is now contradicting with what your friends at school are saying.
Mm.
Your parents may have had weird rules like, oh, if you open the fridge after 10 p.m., I don't know, your fingers might freeze. Just throwing a random BS made up thing out there, but I don't know if I'm spoiling anything for you guys. You can very well open the fridge after 10 p.m. Like nothing will happen to you.
You-
go go right ahead. Go right on. Open that fridge. But um, and if you told like your friends that when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, and they said, no, I open the fridge after 10 o'clock all the time. And you're like, what is this? Did my parents actually lie? And then it starts to kind of contradict with what your parents have taught you. And then you start to realize you can learn things from other sources, sort of thing. So that's kind of why teenagers start to become a little bit more defiant because they're
Mhm.
learning a lot and being exposed to a lot more from just growing up and interacting. And now they have social media and internet and interacting with people on video games and a lot more different channels of communication and interaction. So I'm not saying they're becoming even more defiant. I'm not sure. I'm not a parent, but it was just
I
very
can
interesting.
confirm.
You think they're becoming more defiant?
Oh my gosh. Go yeah. Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
We will get into that later, but yes. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say yes.
I feel like Chad needs to be my editor in life because he just encapsulates everything I say in like less than 5 words each time. I'm like, yeah, that's it. External influences. That's it. I could have I could have ended that rant like 10 minutes ago. I think my parents did very well as they told us from the beginning that we live differently than others. So I wasn't surprised later on in school. That's true.
In your case, I guess if you want to share, what did that look like? Like I know you have mentioned in the past, like for instance, you maybe weren't in a very religious family, or there were certain things that you may have mentioned, but I'm curious, like what they told you when you're so young, and kind of be like, yeah, we're different. Because I'm even thinking about like if conversations like that exactly came up.
I've
You know?
had conversations with my mom, mainly me being a woman
Mhm.
and somewhat like a black woman. I feel like my brothers probably got the talk about being black a lot more than I did, but it's not like I was naive. And because I get that, being, I don't know, being a black man, there's definitely a lot more, like I would say a lot more, but of course there's differences in being a black woman. I guess because like I still am a woman, I'm less threatening.
Mm.
Like you know, like, but I'm sure I'm still I'm sure I'm still looked at as threatening or not needing of support or or help or love. But I know that black men have it at like at a higher scale because of the whole levels of masculine, like having to be like more masculine presenting than other races. I'm sure. Did I share that thing in the chat about bisexuality?
You did. I didn't get to
Okay,
watch,
I did. Yeah,
but I do
sorry.
remember you posted.
Okay. Yeah. So I listened to that today, and it was just super interesting. But yeah, I'm not gonna like get into it right now. But so that was pretty much like what I was talked to about when I was growing up. Especially like being a woman, how I need to present myself, how I need to look, and I would constantly get at my mom to the point that I don't really wear makeup, and I'm not. I mean, I do dress up if the occasion calls for it, but I'm
Mm.
not gonna just
Mhm.
go to the grocery store decked out, So
Mm.
I don't really like go places. But yeah, I show respect to adults, respect their parents, but they made it clear that we didn't have a choice. That's why.
Oh, interesting.
I dig it. I
Huh.
dig it.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It sticks with you when somebody calls you, like when somebody is very polite with you and calls you ma'am, and I remember when I worked at Best Buy many, many moons ago. There was like I was like helping this guy out. I want to say he had like a kind of a badass piercing. I can't remember if it was like his eyebrow or his lip or his tongue, but he had like a pretty cool piercing. And yeah, I was just helping him with something, and then he later came back, and I guess his mom was also in the store, so he later came back like with his mom, and his mom was like, "All right, now you got to thank her." It's like, thank you, ma'am." He's like, "Say thanks, man." She kept like getting on him,
Mm.
but like it was funny because she was just like cursing and not meanly. She was like she just kind of had a sailor's mouth, like a bit of a sailor's mouth,
Mhm.
and but
Mm.
the son who was taller than her, and he looked maybe around my age, probably like in his at the time like in his 20s,
Mm.
probably late teens, early 20s. Like he looked like an adult, but he was still telling me like, "Yes, ma'am." I was like, "Thank you, ma'am." He's like, "All right, say thanks again. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you." it was
That's
it was such like
Mm.
it was such a funny interaction because like the first interaction with him wasn't bad. It wasn't rude or anything, but yeah, it was.
that was a black family too, or black, like a son and
No,
daughter.
they were white.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's
You'd
what
be
this reminded.
surprised.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
You would be very surprised because a lot of parents, especially I find this a lot more common with Southern parents, whether white or black. I find it more often that they will use those greetings.
Oh no.
Mm. He'll be back soon.
Yeah. And funny now, not this computer, but my work computer, which I have up, literally also shut itself down. But that it already told me that was gonna happen like around this time, 10 p.m. So it's just like, well, that shut down, Iran shut down. Um
Just joining the gang. It's like, up, he left. I guess I should follow. I guess I should follow suit.
Policy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's very common in the South.
Yeah.
South. That's
Oh
the
yeah.
thing. Like, South Florida isn't really the South, but there's still hints of it occasionally.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm.
that that could very well be it. Like maybe the mom's parents were from the South, so she was teaching that to her son. Which could very well be it. There's people from like Louisiana, Georgia, North Florida,
Mm.
South Carolina,
Mm.
Alabama, which is we share a border with, which I forget
Mm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Just a tip. Just part of the culture. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, and even then, I know when I was just getting into the workforce and working for Speedway, I will find myself saying, "Will that be all, sir? Will that be all, ma'am?" And I had one customer kind of looked at me like, "What? Why are you treating me like this?" I'm like, "Well, this is kind of the way how I was raised. My grandmother, she was from the South. My great grandmother, my great grandfather, they both came from the South, and
Mm.
that's just how they raised me to be. They told me to respect my elders, and one way to do so was saying yes sir, yes ma'am, no sir, no ma'am, you know those kind of things.
Yeah.
And
It's like, bless your heart again.
right,
Yeah, that one,
and
like,
so he kind of looked at me.
no, go ahead, actually.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna
Oh,
say that
okay.
one threw me
Yeah,
off.
he kind of looked.
Not not really threw me off, but it just it was something I didn't learn till way later, like in college, and that was just from kind of BuzzFeed and or
Mm,
seeing things online in general. I was like, oh, bless your heart. Okay, never heard that growing up. Um,
I have.
but yeah.
I
Mhm.
have.
I saw it the
Yeah,
other day
no.
on Twitter,
It,
like
it, it,
Miss, like I think she goes like by I am Tabitha Brown, Miss Tabitha Brown, who's that very sweet, sweet talking lady. Like,
yes.
sweet talking black lady.
Mm.
She was responding to somebody. She said, "Oh, bless your heart." So I was like, "Ooh."
Was it the time she made a video response to someone who had like said something negative about her, or was
I
this
just
like
I
some?
just saw a tweet. I don't think she said anything. She might have, and then also tweeted it. I don't know, but I
Oh,
saw,
if
yeah.
this was recent, then no. This was something I saw possibly last year. But that's interesting. Bless your heart. She went there.
Yeah, yeah, she did. But then again, that's her. I can see her saying that and saying that with the biggest smile on her face and actually mean it too. It's like, ooh,
Uh-uh.
Oh,
you really just
oh,
don't know.
Yeah, this was, I think it's
No, no, we're good. I'm good.
oh, okay.
I think we're good. Yeah, it's just it amazes me how a lot of the simple things that we think is not useful becomes very, very useful. And even then, it shocks other people
dang.
that you know it. Just and again, just going circling
Mhm.
back to that. But just the mannerism piece, a lot of people they don't hear that as often. And so when you do say, thank you, sir, have a good day, thank you, ma'am, have a good day, it just kind of shocks them like, wait, what? Like you do realize it doesn't matter. For me at least, I'm like it doesn't matter. You're probably not old enough to be my grandmother, but you're older than me. And so I'm going to show you that respect. And even people that were younger than me, it was still the same thing. It was like, just because you're younger than me doesn't mean nothing because I'm still going to respect you as who you are. And you should be given that respect. And they're just kind of like stupefied because they didn't know what to say. They're like, I don't know how to respond. Just be like, thank you, have a good day. That's all. It's like, okay. And so it was just cool.
Yeah,
We're
that's
not
the
gonna
video I think I'm thinking of, Rocky. I didn't hear what she said, what Wendy said, but I remember seeing something. I don't know why it came up, but I saw something about like Tabitha or like someone like she just had the most graceful response to something, and I just started googling because I was like, I don't even know what this is, and I think I found the video at least of Tabitha responding on YouTube, and people were like, oh my gosh, like, bless this woman, she's so like like we need more people like her, and the fact that she's even having such like a rise above response. So yeah, I don't even remember. Like I it was kind of odd, like why there was even that first like negative thing. But yeah, she
Mhm.
she, she definitely gave her. She definitely read in a very Christian way. Wendy, the very very Christian way. I had to read her, but haven't heard from Wendy since. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Was maybe Wendy had posted something, and maybe some people were like commenting or being like, "Oh, you're not even relevant anymore because of this," or like, "Remember what you said." When when
Mhm.
something happens, and then after that, people will never let you forget in the comments that you did this thing, and be like, "This is why your career is flailing" or whatever. Um, I
Right.
don't, I don't remember.
Yeah. But to circle back to L's original point
Hmm.
about what's being taught about in schools, does anybody know and or heard of Eureka Math?
Mm,
Eureka Map.
Eureka Math.
It does sound familiar. I remember hearing about Eureka something, but I can't remember.
yeah, something
Okay.
about that is kind of familiar, but I couldn't tell you what
Mhm.
it is.
It's like a way to teach math.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, it's a headache. Basically, what Eureka Math is supposed to do is supposed to nope Eureka Math. Yes, yes, Rocky. Just how it sounds. Eureka Math. It basically what the thought process is. It's supposed to give students critical thinking skills when it comes to solving math problems. Like, okay, 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, but why does 1 plus 1 equal 2? Like,
Mm,
because it is. I have one gumball and I have another gumball. When I put those two gumballs together, now I have two. But why do you have two gumballs? And just to kind of, that's just to kind of give it like a simplified version. But it's part of the curriculum that we have in my school district, and a lot of students and a lot of parents, they're like, and teachers for the fact of the matter, like, this is dumb. Like, why in the world do we need to walk through every little step to solve the answer? And so a lot of the kids, especially when I was teaching, when I was a substitute teacher for my school building, we were kind of like, okay, facts, facts, chat. And so we were doing a math problem. I'm like, okay, like this doesn't make zero sense to me. Like, why in the world would you guys go through all of this just to solve a simple math answer? And even my so go ahead with what Rocky is saying. I don't know because even then, we're go back 2021, go back to that school year. 'Cause my daughter, she was in the 5th grade. A lot of the teachers that taught, math, they're like, yeah, like when it comes to Eureka Math, they're very strict on how you're supposed to do it. Like, but is it the concept is just pretty much understanding what you're solving, right? Yeah. Okay, so why do we need to have all these extra steps added onto there if only thing they're going to do is confuse said student?
Mhm.
They're like, we don't know. And so me and the missus, we messed around and we bought these math books that had pretty much a lot of the core math subjects that were being taught not only in the elementary school, but also at the middle school level and also at the high school level, and broke it down in such a way where, of course, they have the Eureka math concept in there. And then they also have the math concept that I grew up on, which makes a load of sense, tons of sense, because it's not necessary. I wouldn't necessarily say it's easier, but it's faster, very much faster. And it helps because it does shortcut, quote unquote speaking, a lot of things. And it gets you straight to the point. It's like, okay, 3x plus 7 equals 15. You solve for x. I can do that and I can show you how you solve for x, and you'll get the answer. And all you got to do is, okay, once you find your answer, to make sure that your statement is true, you plug in your answer back into x. And if both sides of the equal sign match, then you did it right. You know, to go as far as explaining every detail of how you have to do it, it's kind of like, no, you're making math way harder than what it's supposed to be. Like,
Mhm.
if the wheel has already been invented, why try to invent another wheel? Just makes you sound really dumb. Or, as Chad's case, it makes you look really, really sus. So I'm like, yeah, nah.
My one thing I'll say, this basically when you started explaining the breakdown of math, I was like, oh, Common Core, okay. And then maybe now they've retermed all these things, but this basically sounds like what the kind of drama behind Common Core was, where they were sort of teaching math differently. There was a lot of outrage because parents couldn't follow along with the kids, which even that kind of got some backlash and mockery. But then it's also like a real question of, well, maybe things yeah, there's a whole lot with that. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I know I said one thing right before I hijacked this, but like I just think that states, maybe didn't implement it in the best way. At the top down level there was an idea, and so everything's hard to follow along. No one knows what's going on. There's a lot more testing, which there's been criticism of too. Like everything is so much more
Mhm.
testing, time spent testing versus before. So I don't know what the answer is when it comes to how to sort of break down math and how to sort of think about these things better. Where it's not just rote memorization, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little, that's kind of intense at that young of an age, because there are certain
Mhm.
things where with calculus knowledge, I'm like, oh, this thing makes sense. This is why pi r squared is the area of a circle and 2 pi r the circumference. It's effectively the derivative of that. Like you can start doing some kind of very esoteric things at like a college level to understand why certain math that you learned is the way it is. Don't even get me started on way higher level math where you're dealing more with letters and Greek symbols than actual numbers. And you're like, oh, this is why the number systems work the way it works. And things like that. But I'm like, to try to teach at a young level
Mhm.
and try to understand why 1 plus 1 is 2 is like a little trippy, because I remember in like a real
Yeah.
analysis class, we learned 1 plus 1 equals 0. And it's like, oh my gosh, 1 plus 1 equals 0. And it's like, because those are the only numbers. It's like base 2. Obviously, computers, you learn
That's
that
binary math.
it is binary math, but it's funny.
Yep. Yep. We're
Uncommon,
going there.
uncommon core.
Oh my gosh. And it's like, but it's interesting when you learn things why they really are. You can break away assumptions, but usually you have to get way higher level to start doing that. So maybe it's interesting the way they try to like baby step people into maybe questioning the assumption. Well, it's like you haven't even learned the assumptions yet. You haven't even learned the basic axioms of math and why
Mhm.
the distributive property or the associative and commutative property are the way they are. I mean, maybe, and I have to look more into all of this, but I'm a little worried about overload when you try to teach why A plus B equals B plus A. Because I'm like, save that for the college level math. But trying to
Agreed.
like explain why certain basic things work. Usually you just take that for granted, right? Those are why they're axioms. Anyway, don't get me on my math stuff because that's a whole different thing. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you get what I'm coming from there. Give you the tools to figure things out instead of. I mean, that's interesting. Instead of just memorizing, yeah. So it is nice when you have the tools for sure. I guess I just have to see how things are at what level. Because I've been so disconnected from the system. I'm the youngest of my family. We were all so close anyway that it's not like even like the gap between me and my older sister is 6 years, and it's not like so much has changed in that time, right? So I would really have to have a lot younger family to even like see these things. I know people who are teachers, ironically my mom, but she teaches French in high school. So it's not like I know people who I guess I do know people actually who are good friends. Even my friend Deanna, who sometimes has been in the chat, she teaches like elementary school, and I think she has taught STEM. So she's a great person I could have asked, but I guess I just don't see some of these things first or secondhand enough to really kind of question, well, okay, what are the kids learning? How are they learning? And is this really the way it should be? Because yeah, it does sound good if you can give them the tools. I just hope that like enough people can get it, and like especially given how the system is, like if you really are behind, then you're behind, right? So what if you can't get it, and then of course your family can't help you because they don't know what's going on unless they happen to like be well versed in that type of learning style for math or whatever. The time, yeah, that's the other thing too, Chad.
Yes.
What you said is like even a good friend of mine, we were the same year. He really did like he was very smart, but he kind of like he definitely skipped school and did some different things. We met in college. We were the same, I guess, college graduating year. And so he mentioned like, he came into school as a financial econ major or econ, whatever. And like, which I mean, financial econ, I think even needs less math than traditional econ. But then he ended up double majoring in math, and he just got his PhD in econ like last year, which pretty much if you go to that level of a PhD in economics, you need at least probably a master's in math or something close to like a PhD in math where you're doing very, very heavy lifting, a lot of proofs and concepts. So he was saying how like he originally wasn't even going to take like calculus or calc 2, linear algebra, except he just took it because he started getting more interested in econ and they recommended to take more math. But he said how when he was younger, or he didn't even really want to take some of those like STEM classes, he really didn't care, even though he was smart. So he's like, I'm kind of glad that I was forced to take those classes. He was like, I'm glad we got forced to take certain well-roundedness, because if not, I wouldn't have pursued things the way I did. And that was back when we were still like graduating college. So at that point, he definitely wasn't in grad school and the whole PhD. And so kids will do bare minimum, yes. But maybe the exposure is still important. And so maybe if that exposure is important, it will maybe get enough people to go into those fields, or maybe that type of logical thinking can be useful outside of literally like, okay, how can we derive this formula for the area of a circle? Like maybe there are better parallels to like how those type of teaching methods like Eureka can maybe apply to other areas. I don't know though, to be honest. No,
It sucks. It sucks. It does. And and even then, a lot of times, because there's a group of kids that I pretty much work with, a lot of times they get frustrated because it's like, okay, well, if you know that 1 + 1 = 2, well, show me through a picture why 1 + 1 = 2, or use another strategy to solve why 1 + 1 = 2. It's like, what are you talking about? I just showed you. I have one plus another one that equals 2. Why do I need to show you different strategies? Why I have to use a number line? Why do I have to use pictures, diagrams? A lot of things that are, not necessarily irrelevant, but unnecessary. And to some aspects, time consuming. And again, going up to Chad's point, is it a good use of
Oh.
Mhm.
okay? Internet doesn't want to be great today. Screw you, internet. You gonna get this. So, and again, going back up to Chad's point, no, it's not a good use of time. It's not because a lot of times we'll take it to a kindergarten level, basic kindergarten level for math. A lot of times, just to do like a problem sheet, it's like 25 minutes because not only are they doing okay, I have two frogs. I need you to color in two more frogs to show that two plus two equals four.
Mhm.
Okay, that's cool. And so now that you showed me, now that you color in two frogs, now what I need you to do is take that same concept and I need you to draw two shapes, color one set, one color, the other set, another color to show that same relationship. Okay, got it. Okay, so take that same concept and then I want you to fill in the blank spaces. Two plus two equals four. Okay, but I've already done this three, four times for one problem. And then you're going to have me to turn around and do the same thing for the next four problems. It's not necessarily helping. It's more so time consuming because now it's like, okay, I understand it's becoming more so repetitive. Okay, cool, great. But at the same time, when these kids bring their homework home and you expect them to do their homework, and the parents are looking like, well, what is this? Why do you have to do this? Well, it's part of my math grade. I have to do this. And if I don't do it, it's da 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 da. It, it's it's just it boggles and it baffles, you know. My daughter's fifth grade class because they were kind of one of the first groups to actually utilize Eureka Math as far as the grade level goes. A lot of the teachers and then the principal were kind of like, okay, we don't know how this is going to play out because a lot of these kids were homeschooled during their third grade, fourth grade year of elementary school. And so it wasn't necessarily implemented to use Eureka Math. It was more so based upon, the online learning, just to kind of keep them in the curriculum, so to speak. And so, no, it was Lincoln Learning. I'm sorry, it was Lincoln Learning. That was a totally different. That's a totally different program, which
Huh.
sucks by far.
Hmm.
Oh, that was. Oh my! Don't get me started on that. Please don't. Uh,
I'll look it up on my own because I've never heard of this.
Oh, LinkedIn
yeah,
Learning?
Link
Lincoln Learning. Lincoln
LinkedIn.
Learning.
Wait,
Not
Lincoln.
LinkedIn, like
Lincoln.
like Abraham Lincoln,
Yeah,
like Abraham
Oh,
Lincoln
yeah,
oh.
yeah. That's
Learning.
what I thought you were saying. I've never heard of Lincoln Learning.
Yeah,
Because there's a LinkedIn Learning, and I'm like, that's not too bad.
So it's just,
Like I've taken like an
no,
AI course from them.
oh,
no, it's
Lincoln
called.
Learning is this like Study Island? Like, is this the new thing that kids are doing?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
like, I could see Blackboard. There's a whole lot of things that are like memorialized in the past, and I could see. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. That's funny though. You miss things or don't give time to things. Your base, yeah, a lot of problems.
Hmm. Oh no,
Mm.
agreed. I agree with Chad too because again, this is the crazy thing about it. When when we moved from Colorado to Michigan, the kids, so my oldest and my daughter, they were above their grade average when it came to the math scores, when it came to the reading, spelling, like any comprehension, any like subject, they were way ahead because the curriculum in Colorado Springs was very much like farther advanced than anything else. And so they had a higher education level or a higher learning than the majority of their peers.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they started introducing this Eureka math as a more so not necessarily as a part of the program, but more so as another alternative and a learning concept, my oldest, he was kind of like, I don't get it. He said, it doesn't make sense. He's like, why am I doing this when I've already learned this back in Colorado Springs? And so we're like, yeah, this is true. And so a lot of his homework assignments were literally a lot of things he had already learned in Colorado Springs, but learned it very differently. And so we talked to the teachers, we talked to the principals, like, hey, you know, why is our kids, why are they learning this when they've already learned it back in Colorado Springs? Well, they were like, well, we don't know. Maybe because in Colorado Springs, a lot of the math stuff, a lot of the science stuff, social studies, English, language arts stuff was very farther advanced to where we're teaching your child here. So, like, so are you mean to tell me that the math or a lot of the courses that you guys have, they're not challenging enough for my kids? And so rather than give them something a little bit more challenging that's either at their level or above their level, you keep them at a place where it's below their levels. Like it makes no sense. Like I think you're robbing them of their greatness. And so we kind of fought off and on. And so again, pandemic happened, all the kids were homeschooled, and so they did Lincoln Learning, and it was okay. Still had a bunch of questions. And there was, and my daughter, she likes math, but when she had to do it online, it was kind of irritating. And even, talking to her online teacher about what was going on, like, hey, this is not work. This is not looking so good. And she's not doing so hot. We know she gets it. It's not as if, me at home doing the math problems with her and we're doing it together, and yet she's still getting it wrong. Why is that? And so even her teacher were kind of looking like, okay, so you guys walked it through? Like, yes, we walked it through. I got the same, like my answer and her answer, it matches. And when she goes and puts it in, inputs it, the computer or the system itself marks it as wrong. Why? And so she's like, oh, because the computer system wants you to do it a different way. It was like, what other way do you use math problem than what I've been taught how to solve this math problem, which is exactly what this math problem is. Like, I don't understand. And so as a parent, I was getting frustrated in watching my daughter, cry because she was getting it wrong, thinking that she's not going to pass. You know, it hurt. And even then, my oldest son, looking at him and watching him kind of struggle too as well, it's kind of like, yeah, this is not good. This is not helpful. This is not helpful at all. This is not a program I wish to see anymore, because you guys are doing more harm to my children than good. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of parents, they complained about it, how like the Lincoln Learning Program wasn't beneficial at all. This is especially once we got the okay to go ahead and go back to school, it showed a lot. And like I was saying before, my daughter's fifth grade class, they struggled with the math department because a lot of those kids were homeschooled that year, that the previous year or the previous 2 years. And so learning the Eureka Math Way was pretty much saying, forget what you learned the last 2 3 years of school, forget all of that. It's irrelevant, doesn't make sense. And you're gonna focus on doing math this way because this way is better. It's like, but it's a lot more confusing. How is it better? And so, you know, there was a time where I literally sat in the math class and watching the teacher do the homework and whatnot. I'm kind of looking, I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And then even then, like after class, I told her, like, hey, I saw you did this math problem. I was like, it doesn't look right in my brain. It doesn't compute because the way how you're solving it, it doesn't make sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, yeah, she's like, I get that. And she said, and this is probably one of the reasons why I'm glad that you're in here so you can see what's going on. She said, not just as a parent's perspective, but she said, but I'm just gonna throw this in here for kicks and giggles, but also as an educator's point of view that is doing more harm than
Mm.
Yeah,
Boring.
it's true. Restream is doing more harm than good.
yes. And even then, I just saw Chad's
But him
I
having a
just
kid.
saw yeah, the modules. Yes, that's what they called it. They called them modules. It was irritating, and I tell the kids were getting frustrated. A lot of the kids were getting very, very frustrated. Even some of the kids who had like a higher math aptitude, however you pronounce that word, or whatever that word is, they were struggling. And they had a better math grade than a lot of their peers. And it's like, okay, this is interesting, very interesting. And so I, I, and again, like I was saying before, that's why I went ahead and bought these math books to kind of help out.
Mm.
And it does break everything down. It shows the traditional way how a lot of us learned how to solve math problems. It shows that. It shows the Eureka math way of how to show math problems. But they also have it broken down like three, four other ways how other school districts around the country how they use math and how they solve math problems using their strategies, and it kind of does help because now you have like three, four, five, six examples of the same problem done in different ways that you could kind of get a feel of stuck and so I'm but I can get it as long as I follow the directions and actually find I think I'll be able to get it. And so it was as it was, and a lot of the parents here in my city bought those math books because they realized it helped, and so saw a lot of improvement in their child's or children's math test scores. And it worked. It was very beneficial, very, 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 very beneficial. Cost a lot of money, sure did, but just to make sure that my kids are successful in math, I will pay. I'll pay it. I'll pay. I'll do it again in a
Hmm.
heartbeat. And again, that's just one subject. That's just one subject.
Mm.
Like we could talk about English language arts and how that's different. Talk
Mm.
about science. We could talk about social studies and how that's broken up and broken down. Oh my goodness. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Just because of me working at the school building and being in the classrooms and listening to what's going on. It's it's nuts.
Mm.
It's nuts. You
Yeah,
guys
I can imagine. You have a much closer view.
mm,
Versus the
Yeah.
3,000 foot view that some of us just kind of have from following whatever coverage or news comes out.
yeah. Yeah. And I think I saw it in the chat how um think it was Rocky who said that it's kind of like weird to have like different I wouldn't say curriculums. I don't know what Rocky said, but he was saying how a lot of the school districts around the country they're doing things differently. And I get it, but at the same time I also understand that a lot of those areas they have a higher passing rate
Mm.
because they are doing things differently. They're not following the traditional norm, and they're not doing things that's just for the sake of doing things. No, they're like, we want to make sure that you get it, and we want to make sure you have resources, tools, all to whatever you need to be successful. And I think that is really, really cool and phenomenal that they're doing that by giving students everything that they need in order for them to be successful and to be great at whatever field they want to go and pursue in.
Mm.
So again, that's just Eureka math. That, like I said, that's just one aspect that I can share. Another aspect is a CKLA. So basically, it's if I remember this correctly, Czech Knowledge Language Arts. And so basically, yeah, I think this one I can understand because this one is a little bit more immersive and it's very much hands on. Um,
Just, mm.
mm,
Yeah, I think I was seeing something about this recently. Um,
mhm,
that you don't have. I mean, maybe it even came up in one of the comments here in some previous stream in the past few months. But like, of course, the good talent, are going to go be working, and so like, what's the incentive to come and teach in the school system um, when you could be just making so much elsewhere?
This is an interesting point, Rocky, because it does seem like things that were quote unquote universal aren't quite universal anymore. Um, One
mhm,
thing that should be taught in schools now is social media, honestly.
Mm,
Like
mm,
controversial, but it's, you know, every kid has it, or
true.
almost. To some extent, it could be something that you may not think is a social media thing, and then it can easily become a social media thing. Or some
Mhm,
people don't see WhatsApp as social media, some people do. Um, there is this proposition, or going around saying that, I know, like I think in the government, that like people who need to be 18 and older to access social media, and if it's going to be younger, it has to be with the permission of their parents.
mhm,
It's it's been pretty controversial because I don't know. I see why. I also see how that can be detrimental to people under 18. So, for
mhm,
example, there are children who are making bank on YouTube. I
mm,
remember there was this kid who reviewed toys. I don't know if you heard about him. I've heard about him like probably like 4 or 5 years ago. He apparently just reviewed toys. Child, probably younger than 10, definitely younger than 12, reviewed toys, and he was making bank. Of course, like his parents were heavily involved with everything and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's genius. That's smart. I don't know if the parents came up with that idea. I don't know if he did. Probably him. But if he didn't have access to social media, that couldn't really happen. Oh god, the parents were making money off of that kid. Okay, so the parents were the ones that were kind of milking him. I do. So I definitely do believe like there should be a lot of supervision with social media. Oh, typical child star shit. Oh man. So I definitely do believe there should be a lot of supervision with social media. I remember when I was a kid and I was on, during the early aughts of the internet, I would go on Nickelodeon.com. I think it was just Nick.com because they were got that domain name like that. And you can play games because it's there wasn't social media back then. So I remember I was putting in like on AOL. I was like for myself, I was putting in like I don't know if age is the correct term, but it's pretty much I guess like my role, I guess my age range or something. And I put my actual age range, and I was too young for Nick.com. I was like, what? That's crazy. That's weird. And then I put in an older age range thing, and they said, okay, now you're too old for Nick.com. And then I selected the whole. It's kind of like a free for all almost thing. Like you could just go to any site, whatever you don't. There's no restrictions. And I was able to go to Nick.com. It was kind of weird. Like I was trying to essentially parent my own self, and it didn't even work. So I needed to have access to literally everything in order to just go to Nick.com to play some very G-rated games. So granted, yeah, the internet's a lot more sophisticated now than it was back then, and I do think we should probably try to give that more of a shot. I know that there is parental supervision and parental guidelines to some extent. I know that one of my friends who listens to my podcast, he was having trouble like listening to the most recent episode, and it was because he had his Spotify set to like not explicit, and my podcast is set to explicit. I should probably take that off. So, but I don't know. I see a lot of podcasts that I listen to is set to explicit. So, and I do curse on my podcast, so that's why I set it to explicit.
Indeed.
But anyway, I do know that the internet is a lot more sophisticated now, and there's ways to curtail it. But I don't know, things are always going to slip through the cracks. There's only so much you can really curtail, and that's where like parenting and the village and the teachers come in. So because this is something that everyone is probably going to have to be exposed to at some extent, I do think that they should teach about social media, the implications of social media, how it can harm you. Because if we're being taught like sex ed and how sex can be harmful, and like they blow that out of proportion to the point that to just scare you, I don't think they should really approach social media in that way. I do think they should approach it in the way of cigarettes and alcohol and just other mature topics that you probably don't. It's hard to teach someone who doesn't know things why they shouldn't be exposed to these things because of how it could affect them later on. Like it may or may not affect them later on. Not everybody who was looking at porn at 11, 12, 13 is a sex addict or has something, but it's still important to learn why these things can be harmful, can be detrimental. Like I don't see the harm in teaching kids, like if you could teach them that cigarettes can be addictive, if they can watch those after school programs, those after school commercials. It's like, this is your brain on drugs. Like, if they could
Oh my gosh.
a more involved parent. So another thing I wanted to mention about the whole parent thing, not every kid has parents.
Mm.
There are some
Talk,
kids who hey, say that again, Ron?
Said talk, L.
Yeah,
Talk.
not every kid has parents. Some, like, there are orphans, there are kids in the the system, the foster care system. There are kids who are latchkey kids whose parents aren't home, they're both working,
Mm.
and they have to essentially raise themselves for the most part.
Mhm.
So that's why I don't like it when they say that. I don't like it when they say, like, oh, parents should be the ones that control what the teachers can teach, because A, parents don't know everything. B, as a
Mhm.
parent, you should want your student you should want your kid to be smarter than you. To have
Mm.
your kid be stupider than you is weird and controlling. Like, you want, like, ideally, I would assume, like, for if your kid comes home from school and you're like, hey honey, did you learn anything? And they say no, and you're like, yeah, you better not have. Then why are you going to school? Like, what are you
Right.
doing?
No, this is called daycare. That's why.
Right, exactly, at that point. So,
Mhm.
like, you might as well just, like, let them roam around at the mall or in the woods or something.
Mm.
But they might learn more. But
Facts.
so it's I just find it to be harmful that because you might be stifling a potential career opportunity for a young person. And
Mhm.
I understand that can be problematic, especially if, like, the parents are trying to milk the kid. That's the parents, though. That's that's the fault of the parents. However, if a kid is, like, super good at Call of Duty, or if a kid is super good at, I don't know, like, game reviewing or game reacting to players or something, then they should. I think they should support that. If I think a kid should have the opportunity to make money, especially if their parents don't make enough, or if they just don't really have, like, if their parents aren't around, or
Mhm.
if they're trying to go to college and they want to pay their way through college. Like, I don't really see the difference between having a job being a content creator and influencer, like, safely and not, like, controversially, if you're still getting, good enough grades in school, and you might be using the money to pay for college, or just have the money to invest or do whatever the heck you want with the money. Because, like, if kids can work, like, my brother used to work at McDonald's at 14. I believe he can start working at Publix at 13. I got my first job at 16. If you can work as a teenager at an establishment, I don't see why you can't work as an influencer or a content creator in your teens.
Mhm.
It's, like, it's still money. You're still getting, like, it's still a job. It's still work. Like what, you see me, Toby, and Ron doing. This is, we're putting hours into this. We're putting time into this. This is, of course, very shoestring, low budget, because, like, we're just like, because, like, we're using our laptop cameras, yeah, and like, the lighting in our home, like, probably the most expensive thing is my mic, but I also use it for, like, other things like my podcast. So but this is still time, you know. So like
Mhm.
there are some content creators who are young, who put literal time and effort into it, you know. Like there's this one YouTuber name, I think it's Dashy XP. Like apparently he was kind of big maybe about 10 or so years ago. He used to work at the same Best Buy that I used to work at, and he would, you know, he got discounts from Best Buy to get all his stuff, and he would just make YouTube videos. And I remember I looked him up probably like a year or two ago just to see if he's still doing stuff, and he still is.
Mm.
And like that's what he did. Like the only reason why I knew this because like one of my good friends used to work at the same Best Buy, and like they used to work together. I never really heard of him until she shared him with me. So, you know, like if he, granted, we were probably like he was probably like in his late teens, early 20s. So he was an adult, yeah, but like he still did that though, you know? So I guess that's all I'm saying pretty much. I don't like I just don't like the whole like, yeah, your parents should do better. It's because parents can only do so much. And you know, sometimes the kids can actually figure things out on their own. Like
Mm.
kids aren't like stupid and incapable until they're 18 and they're just snap and they're magically capable adults.
No.
Yeah, they become that.
Yeah.
So, hey, Amira, catching this too late. Have you all discussed the specific books that parents have taken issue with? No, not yet. We haven't really. Kind of. We talked about like math books and some of the textbooks, but not in terms of like political teachings or teachings about race and ethnicity and gender and history like that.
Yeah, the social sort of issues, I guess you could say. That hasn't that's a big one. But that hasn't actually come up in this discussion, but it must throughout the month at least.
That's true, Rock. You definitely have a point there. It's true. I guess. Oh, sorry, Toby. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh no, I was literally that was me just saying like it's an important point that should come up even just generally within the month as we're talking about this, to kind of talk about you know, the whole parental rights, I guess, if you want to.
Yeah, I think we should. That should definitely be an episode where we talk about like parents' involvement. But no, like Rocky definitely has a point because it's true. I guess like Rocky definitely has a point when it comes to exposure. I think the only thing is that this is the reality now.
Mm.
You know, you remember the old Samsung Galaxy commercials? The next best thing was already here, or like the future. Like it's not like the future is going to be scary. Right now, currently is scary. Like it's already here. We're already in it. We're already living it. Like AI is going to be something. AI already is and will be inevitably something very dangerous and very scary.
Right.
It will wipe out a lot of jobs. You know, like I was watching this one podcast, like Diary of a CEO, and like one of the guys, I'll share the video in the Discord. He was saying how, because he used to work for Google X. I'm not sure what X exactly was. Probably some project. I don't know. So he used to work for Google, and he was saying how like AI is actually more imminent than climate change because that's going to affect us a lot sooner. Like by like 2029, it's going to be like certain things are going to be unrecognizable between humans and AI, and like it already is to some extent. We're actively determining the reality by what we accept and reject. Yeah. No, you're definitely. I'm sorry, I didn't read. Sure, parents can only do so much, but at the same time, teachers can do even less. Sometimes people put too much responsibility. Oh, absolutely. Especially, no, people do put way too much on teachers when that shouldn't be the case. It's just, I don't know. Like, we all have to play a part in it. And kind of to go on with what Chad was saying, that I was thinking how, like, we can accept and reject it. It's just we can only do so much because unfortunately we don't have the money and the power to do as like it would be a massive undertaking. Unfortunately, we're a society and a people driven by money because we need it to buy food and live and eat and provide shelter. So it's not necessarily going to be AI that takes over. That it's going to be the people who utilize the AI. It's sort of similar to it, like guns don't kill people, people kill people. It's like, well, it's the people who are holding the guns that killed the other people. It's like it's a tool. AI is a tool, and it's going to wipe out a lot of people in terms of their jobs. So
Yeah. A big thing. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna cheekily say, like, so I guess AI should be taught in schools.
Oh man. I won't go too deep in the AI thing, but like that, is a big thing for sure. The writer strike, I think, shows that no one's safe, not even the creatives. So that's, and I will give one little story of when I was at a conference, the NSBE National Engineer Society of Black Engineers, the national convention in 2018. We had like the CEO of HomeAway, which is funny because I didn't know what HomeAway really was until maybe the year before. And I was like, oh, you guys are like Airbnb. And they're like, oh, ha. No, because they actually are a bigger company. I mean, Airbnb is big as like a disruptor, but HomeAway was more official of like real vacation homes. And they got bought by like Expedia. So the point is the CEO of HomeAway spoke the next year, 2018, and he was saying how like he was talking about his daughter and how she's going off to college and he's worried. And this is 2018, so this is so prescient that we met how we did, of course, in the Yang campaign, because this is 2018 and the guy was saying automation and how certain jobs are going to be gone. We need to hone more into our creative side and what are the things that we can contribute to humanity and focus on that. And at the time, it didn't really register that much. I was like, oh yeah, okay, sure. And then just a year or two later, it became a huge thing, of course, in the 2020 campaign. And then now it is much huger of a thing because of not just ChatGPT, but overall AI kind of being involved in being integrated in a lot of processes. And I do think that like kids knowing that, the fact that he mentioned his daughter, right, is like, okay, the CEO of this company literally is talking to his daughter about worrying about automation and all that type of stuff. And so even if it was cheeky, I do think there is like a really real opportunity and need to have some kind of focused discussions about these things. Yeah,
I agree, because I do, and this could just be me projecting because I'm been out of K through 12 for a very long time and life and etc. But I get like this weird sense of jadedness that I have a feeling that kids might be going through at school because they're exposed to more with social media, YouTube, TikTok, and I don't know anything else that they might be on. there's always those videos of like, you go to college, you get all this college debt, you get student loan debt, you know, jobs might be going away. I mean, of course, there's going to be jobs, yeah, but like this whole AI thing, and then if you're like in a if you're like in like a women in Shakespeare class in college, and you're looking at your phone, and there's like a bunch of stuff about AI and how you need to learn this, and you're like, well, should I be an English major? Like, do I really need to know Latin? It's like because you're in college to pretty much prepare yourself to get a job in a career in a field, So you might be feeling like you're wasting your time and your money because you have to take these Gordon Rule classes, and there might be like a kid. You might have a roommate who's making money being an influencer, and sorry, it just sounds like there's like an airplane like right above me, so it's kind of weird.
Wow.
Oh, you looked up, Toby.
Because I was like hearing like a little hissing sound, but it sounded more just like general like computer or static. And so I was like, wait, is that sound the thing you're hearing, or
No,
whatever
that
you're hearing is different?
no, 'cause, like my window's right here, and it definitely sounded like it was like flying over. I don't know. Sometimes it's been helicopters in my area lately, so I'm like, is this it? But no, it definitely sounded like an airplane. But anyways, I mean, it could have been helicopter. I don't know. Yeah, I agree, Mish. We definitely do need UBI. Sorry, I just got distracted. I'm trying to remember what I was even saying. Oh yeah, like kids just being jaded in school, and I have a feeling that that might be the feeling in high school and middle school and things like that. And it's I don't know if kids are feeling even more directionless because I don't know. Because there's a difference between what you want to do and what you need to do in order to survive. Like I don't think there's any harm with. That's one of the things I did love about UBI. Like there's nothing wrong if you want to go out and I don't know make teddy bears for a living and hand sew them. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with if you just want to surf on the beach all day. That's just what you want to do. Like you're not harming anybody. But you still need money to live and exist, and which makes it hard. Like, so it wouldn't be that problematic if, like what Mish said, like, if AI wants to do it, sure, but I need money to live. So like there needs to be a trade. Like AI doesn't need money. Like the robots at like the self-checkout at CVS doesn't need money. All it does is take your money. It doesn't need money to go home and feed its little cashier babies. Like,
That's crazy, but I get it.
it's just so like there definitely does need to be some kind of trade-off, unless like we shoot into the future and try to be more like Star Trek, where like you don't need money. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Right. But you did bring up a very crucial point, which kind of leads back to what you asked before about kids kind of being what was the word you used?
Shaded?
No.
Disengaged?
Yes, because of social media. And I was going to say yes they are, and the reason why is because I think somebody brought this up in the chat. The fact of the matter is that they have to the internet and they're able to search things, find things, and view things. And even if the things they're viewing is still content, it's still the content that is at their age level, because of the fact that they're viewing kids from all over the world essentially doing things differently, it does make an impact on their day-to-day living. Case in
Mm-hmm.
point, um, yeah, information overload. I mean that too as well. But case in point, during the school year, I was talking to two of my coworkers, and they were saying that their kids they feel as though that they're not welcome in the high school that they go to. Like really,
Mm.
like oh yeah, like they don't feel welcome. Like a lot of their friends that they grew up with, they're leaving and they pretty much feel alone. They feel isolated to the point where they want to change schools and go to a different school because of the fact of the isolationism and everything else. Like, that's funny you say that. They're like, why? I was like, well, because my oldest, he kind of feels the same way, where a lot of the kids that he's been hanging around with, they're doing things that is being shown on social media. And my kid is like, I don't want to participate in that because my parents raised me better than what you guys are seeing on social media. And
Mm.
so a lot of times they're like, yeah, even then they're like, talking to my oldest, I'm like, dude, it's like you're about to enter to your junior year of high school. I know, let that sink in. My oldest is entering to his junior year of high school. And
Okay.
I was like, dude, you got to understand, like, what you do now is literally going to dictate what happens to you during your senior year and what happens after your senior year of high school. A lot of the decisions that you make now, a lot of the choices that you make now, a lot of the interactions that you have, thought process, a lot of that whether you wanted to or not, a lot of that is going to play a huge major role, especially if you want to go to college, especially if you want to set high school records. Like a lot of that is going to basically be with you now if you decide to continue to pursue that. However, on the flip side of the coin, if you don't learn those lessons now while you're still able to do so free of charge, when you become an adult, when you graduate high school, you're going to learn those lessons, but they're going to be two times harder because of the fact that you're now an adult. So you're going to have to kind of buckle down. You're going to have to think, where do you want to be when you graduate high school? Where do you want to go when you graduate high school? What kind of an impact you want to leave when you graduate high school? Because just as much as you can leave a positive impact, you can also leave a negative impact. And a lot of times, with, in my opinion, with the access to social media, it does play a major role. And in one, I think I was watching a clip from the Breakfast Club. I don't know if it was Dr. Umar Johnson or somebody else. It was some black dude, and the dude said that he openly suggests that kids openly rebel against their parents. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, oh yeah. He said, oh yeah. I really do believe that kids should openly rebel their parents because now it's going to put the parents in a position where they're going to have to defend their stances. And I sat there and I thought about it. I'm like, that is a very dangerous thing to
Yes.
say. It's a very dangerous thing to do. It's a
Yes.
very dangerous thing to suggest be, because of the fact that, okay, they're already, whether we want to shield them, protect them or not, they're already going to be on social media as it is, anyways. They're already going to be influenced not only by their peers, within their schools and their friend circles, but they're also going to be influenced by those from the outside who may or may not have the same lifestyle, who may or may not have the same values, the same, you know, whatever viewpoints. And to suggest something like that, it's kind of wild. That's very wild. And then I'm thinking back to my own. I'm thinking back to when I was, 15, 16, 17, that age group, that age bracket. I'm like, man, if I was to ever openly disrespect my father, I
Mm.
know that me and him, we would be fighting right then and there. No ifs, ands, buts about it. We were going to be fighting either in the living room, in the kitchen, on the way to, like, we're going to be fighting because you're giving me the okay to openly disrespect my parents. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy talk.
Mhm.
That's crazy talk. And even then, I remember the one time me and my dad actually had a fist fight.
Shit.
Oh yeah, me and my dad, we openly had a fist fight, and you know, it was just one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I literally fought my dad, you know, to get him off my brother. Like,
Oh, okay.
Oh shit.
yeah, yo,
No.
yeah, and it was bad. It was bad, but like, yeah, I that was probably the one time I openly disrespected him. I'm like, no, you're not gonna just do that to my brother. You're not gonna put your hands on my brother. Like, no, you crazy.
Mhm. Mhm.
And me and him, we were just punching each other. Like I was punching him as hard as I could. He was punching me as hard as he could. And so it was just one of those things where it's like, man, it kind of left a very ugly stain. But we look back on it years later and we kind of talk about it. It was just kind of one of those things where it's just like, yeah, tempers were hot and tensions were very high. And to be able to sit here and have um, a, 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 a discussion about it and still kind of walk away okay without having harsh feelings about it was just kind of like, okay,
Mm.
you know, cool, great, whatever. It's just that I just know that
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I'm
Dang.
gonna ask Ron
Speak.
how old he was.
Mm.
what's up.
How old were you, Ron?
Um, I was I almost want to say I think I was a I think I just finished my junior year of high school, rolling into my senior year of high school.
Mm, okay.
Yeah. Wow. No, no, because what I actually told my son, I'm actually, as I'm thinking about what I told my son, it actually makes a lot of sense what happened between my junior year and my senior year of high school, which was jacked up as it was. Part of it was out of my control. The other part was still kind of within my control.
Mm.
But yeah, no, those decisions lingered a lot. It lingered a lot. And like I said, it happened right between it happened in that during that summer of my junior year of high school going into my senior year of high school. And my senior year of high school ended on a very bad note.
Mm.
Mm,
And I mean, I still graduated barely, but still, it was just one of those things where it's like, man, it sucked bad. It sucks very bad. Oh yeah, it sucked very bad.
no, I'm sorry. Like I remember like years ago in college, this guy I was sort of seeing. He like told me that every boy has like, I don't know, gets into like a physical fight with their father, like it's a rite of passage. Like I don't know if it's like he was black. I don't know if the like. Of course, I just brush it off. It's like, no, that's not a thing. But it, like, the older I get, I keep hearing of like stories like this, and I'm like, is this really a rite of passage of some kind?
No. Whoever said that is an idiot. I'm gonna say that much.
He was an idiot. No, screw him.
I'm dead.
He's an idiot. Like, no. I'm telling you.
The same way. It should have been handled different. Like, see this again? I don't know. Like, it's a thing.
I haven't
Maybe
been.
he wasn't this dumb.
Maybe he wasn't. Maybe the clock was right enough times. The broken clock was right. But I think for me, like, I mean, that definitely was never happening in my house. I could just say that. But what's interesting is when I was in grad school, a friend of mine, I mean, he was an undergrad, junior or senior, and he was saying how like he had fought, and this is when I was deep in the black orgs, and so this guy from New York, I mean, he's pretty short, like he's a much shorter guy. He's Dominican. I mean, he like presents as black, but he is like Dominican.
I mean, Dominicans are black. So, spoiler alert, Dominicans.
Well, the reason I say that is because there are like Dominicans who are definitely more like they're still definitely darker, but there's Dominicans who look very much
true. That's true. Yeah.
In fact, most Dominicans I would say that I knew in Massachusetts, and there were many. Most of them I would definitely say were. You could definitely look at them and be like, okay, you're Spanish, like
right?
Hispanic,
absolutely. Like one of my good friends like is Dominican, but of like Lebanese descent.
Okay,
she does have like a percentage of black in her though. It's not. I grew up learning that my father and mother had their own to deal with, and it was none of my business. I should focus on my beliefs.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, that's crazy, but I get it. That's crazy, but I get it. I get it. No, that's wild. That's wild. But yeah, no, the circle back.
Yeah. Oh, I actually don't know, Ron, if you either froze or if
No, because I was going. I actually was going to say something similar to what Rocky just posted. And I think that as men, black men in particularly, a lot of times, and even they're talking to the message about this too, a lot of times when most black men they grow up, they don't necessarily have like that positive male figure in their lives to reinforce a lot of positive imagery because of society says nowadays, social media says what the trends are, this is and the third. And so when you have these situations where you see the father and the son like having a physical altercation, it's kind of very alarming. It's like, okay, what is going on that is happening, and even still then, me and my dad, we talked and we discussed and a lot of things. He was like, it's like, when I look back on things, he said, yeah, were there some things I should have handled differently? Yeah. He said, but at the same time, also understanding like a lot of the other things that I told you and your brother was basically to help you to become your own individual man so that you can stand on your own 2 feet. You could hold down your family and be what your family needs you to be, And so again, like I said, me and my dad, we talk off and on, but a lot of the things that he said when I was a kid, as a teenager, it radiates now, especially as I have my own kids, especially as my kids are getting older, with my oldest getting ready to graduate high school, which is still wild. Oh my gosh, it's still wild. And so it's just like it does put things in a lot of perspective, in a different perspective. And so I'm like, okay, I know that I don't want to do things similarly to what my father did with me and my brother and whatnot. But what I want to do is still be there for my kids and let them know that I support them 100% as long as it's positive, as long as it's uplifting them, and as long as they're going to do better than me and their mom. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want to make sure that we set you up so that you can do better, so that you can become better. But that's if you use the tools and the resources necessary that we gave you to utilize. In a lot of things, and a lot of times, I tell my kids, like, there's a lot of stuff that we've done that we're trying to steer you away from. We know there's tools, we know the resources. We're just going to place them in your hands and say, here you go, use them if you choose to do so. And if you don't, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Nobody to blame but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's working on growing our older kids. Yeah, and one thing I was thinking, like with this, I mean, it's interesting that you have those conversations with your dad, like now, right? You kind of like still are able to kind of talk even after something so serious happened. And my friend Nelson, well, whatever. I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter because no one's gonna know who this is. But when he mentioned,
wow, Toby, wow,
that was.
You always mention your friends' names, and you're like, Nelson doesn't matter. I'm like, okay.
No. Because of just the fact that he mentioned this story, that I was not trying to put his name there. That was shade to him at all. It was more of like, crap, I didn't mean to say his name, but whatever. No one's gonna know who he is. That was more of me covering myself than. The point is though, when he mentioned that he fought his dad, and he was a shorter guy, whatever, and so he mentioned like yeah, I'm short, but he's also really short too. So it was like it's almost funny, like the way he said it was like it's kind of funny looking back in his head of that fight, because it's like these two, like he's in high school, he might be close to 15, 16. His dad's also short, and I don't know what they were getting the tussle about, but it was like an actual fight, and they're like wrestling, and it's like I was like, whoa. And I didn't hear that from like many of my other friends, so it's not like I've been just hearing, oh yeah, a lot of people fighting their dads, whatever. But it's interesting for sure. Like, I guess that, and what Rocky said about the old school ways of threatening kids, and it's pretty tangential. Some of this topics to the what's being taught in schools, because one thing is that like the outcomes that happen in school, 2/3 or so come from the home or factors outside of the school. So a third can be controlled within the school. Great. 2/3, that's community, home, environment, whatever. And so there is that connection too of like how these type of things can affect. Do you have someone at home advocating for you? Like even Ron, with what you were, I know he is off, but you could probably still hear me. Like Ron, with what you were saying about like with your daughter getting really upset with like the stupid like Lincoln Learning thing not working, or your son also getting frustrated, and so like you being involved, that's already a huge step up that helps when kids are learning certain things, and you can kind of advocate for them. And of course, there's a longer conversation to be had about parental rights and parental involvement in schools and all of that. But that was kind of my last kind of little, I guess, connection there. Why does it sound like such a comic book villain or anime villain?
Because you are a comic book villain.
Listen.
That's because you are a comic book villain, Toby. That's who you are.
I'm dead.
Matter of fact, no. That's not right. That's not right. You are the anti-hero. Boom. You are the You are the anti-hero.
Listen, I like that. Mark, sorry, I do have to say that I know Mark did have some comments here, and it was like, interesting. The TikTok thing again, these are things that for sure we got to save them, put them in the Discord. Ideas, feedback, upcoming stream, whatever, because it is a very, some of these things are very, very important conversations. Yes. TikTok, I mean, we talked about social media. Ironically, TikTok didn't come up exactly, but that is, a huge thing when it comes to kids and the companies are lowering the ages to be like, let's have a 9-year-old version of this app. YouTube is a little different because it's so educational anyway with a lot of the videos. But like, I don't know if they really need a 9-year-old version of TikTok or these other apps, which honestly maybe shouldn't even be given to our kids. And I remember on the radio, I think, was it the radio? There was something talking about technology and kids and how like, technology should be a tool, right? I guess it's because there was like a ban of like certain like technology in a classroom, or like you couldn't have a phone, or it was a volunteer effort, I guess, for parents to say, I don't want the schools to be able to have like kids with their phones. And so I think the point of one of the concluding things of the episode is like technology can be a tool where it's like you really can use it as a tool, but the fact that it's like, everyone's so addicted to the smartphone. Actually, I think I'm conflating two things. One thing that Jack Dorsey was saying, because he had an interview on Breaking Point. So it was like his first interview since the sort of Elon takeover, and he left Twitter. And I think he was making a point about like technology, and smartphones being like addicted, glued to the smartphone. And I do remember something on the radio also talking about something along the sort. And I feel like other people have mentioned it on recent things. And kind of how can you be a balance between like, the complete just like I guess there's like a balance of like people who just don't let anyone have technology in the house, and then there's people who say no, we're going to do everything with technology so you can learn it as a kid and know kind of the pitfalls to avoid, and then people who strike a balance. But again, that whole technology TikTok piece within education is a very useful one,
right?
And I think that was the last, because I was trying to think of if I hit all the points. The Umar Johnson thing, I'm gonna have to post something, because there's something that was actually very hilarious. I may have shared it actually with L, maybe you, Ron, like on Instagram. It was kind of a wild video. That was more about the Ebony K. Williams or whoever, and the whole bus driver conversation, which is another very important conversation that has to come up about bus drivers. Let's not even get into that. And people's preferences about dating them and dating working class people in general, which ties into both education, but also a larger conversation about work and sort of class. But Umar Johnson, like that video, like 6-8 minutes long, and I was dying. I was like, I have not like physically, like literally like fallen over just from what he was saying. And the Snow Benny comments are so spot on. I think Rocky, whoever it was. Yeah, you don't find that suspicious. Anyway, now I'm done. No, he was wild. Like, okay, yeah, Mark. So, inability to focus more than 10 minutes. It's interesting because, of course, I always had ADHD, right? I have it. It's something I'm still dealing with, but way back then, I definitely didn't have a phone or social media. I didn't get a phone until like end of my sophomore year of high school. And it was a basic phone. I didn't get my first smartphone until first year of college. And it was a super gross basic phone with like 256 megabytes of storage. And I think I mentioned it actually some weeks ago, but this Walmart family mobile phone. So like I never really experienced this whole kind of external influence of like, I played a lot of video games, but that's very different even and social media. And I didn't play like online games, so I wasn't in chat rooms. I wasn't doing any of that really. And so it is interesting, I guess, how kids are being affected by TikTok and these things, and even the tablets and a whole lot of stuff I remember that came up in the computer ethics class. This is 2014, so this is even pre-TikTok. barely had Snapchat, and you know,
I'm done. I'm dead.
okay. I feel like I
I'm
have to actually
dead.
watch more of him because despite the controversy, I feel like
Oh my
just
god.
an icon. No, this man said he said some crazier things than Snow Bunnies. That's nothing. He said some crazy things in this video about Ebony K. Williams, only because he was like, I better not find out. I better not find out that Ebony K. Williams let me not find out that the reason you made these comments is because you wanted to be with a white man.
I think she is with a white man.
Yeah, in fact, the comment said, "Wait till he finds out." I think a Neanderthal. He said some interesting things.
What?
He was like, "Let me not find out you were swimming in the milk. Let me not find out, Ebony K. Williams. Let me."
Yeah.
I did not laugh so hard because he literally went away from his point just to kind of go on a minute or two tangent about the cave Neanderthals. I was like, Lord have mercy.
That's crazy.
I was like, yo, protect this man. I mean,
No, you don't.
Protect this man.
I was gonna say you don't have
No.
to agree with the just for the comedy
No.
alone. No, just for the comedy alone.
I'm done. Go to bed. Rocky, go to bed.
Yes.
Go to bed. I'm done.
Oh gosh.
Oh
Oh.
my gosh. I can't. I can't. I can't.
Like it's just like I saw the video because I think you sent it to me, Toby, and yeah, like what I find funny is that the whole Ebony K. Williams, because I know that you wanted to talk about this. I've sent it to you to 5,000 lashes. So it was just like a clip that she was talking to I don't know, like Ayala. I don't know. She was talking to somebody. Like an older black lady who we're supposed to take advice from. And,
Oh Lord.
and like she like it was just a clip of like, would you date a bus driver? And then she was like thinking about it. She was like, well, if he owns the bus, and the lady was like, no, that's not okay. And I'm sitting here thinking like, that's fine. That's her type. You know. And then got on Breakfast Club, and DJ Envy was really upset with her. She didn't really defend herself well. I don't really know this lady. I don't really care.
It is either.
Let's see what his Super Bowl number is. It would. It would. Oh my gosh. And yeah, I don't know. I think he was just I think Umar Johnson was just upset that I mean like the statistics that she brought to the Breakfast Club was like, it's correct. How you're wording it is madly problematic.
Interesting.
It's also like just not too accurate either. It's like it wasn't it wasn't that good. It was like I don't know. I don't know who this lady is. It was like not you're not really saying much, lady. Like it's like, okay, if you don't want to date a bus driver or only if he owns the bus, that's totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. Um,
That's where I fall in it too.
yeah, that's just you. If that's what you want to do, then that's fine. But if it's like, it's really sad. But if it's like, I don't know. I guess she has a following. I guess there's black women who follow her. Um, I don't know. I know not. I know not. Like I have my opinions on things, of course, and it's like, because it's like I don't know, because I could, yeah, I could just go out. I could go off on other things too, and like, but it won't really resolve anything. So
Yeah.
it's like, so, but Yeah, but yeah, no, he was really upset if he finds out if she's dating a white man. I'm like, why?
Yeah, that was the funniest
I
stand.
know. Like what? Like why are you this mad? Oh my gosh, are there really black men? I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but like, yeah, I guess there are some black men who are really out there like that. Like, who, if they see a black woman with a white man, they'll, I don't know, probably be really upset. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole conversation because that's it's not exactly the same on both ends, but like it is an interesting thing to like the triggering that happens where it's like you see, assuming straight relationships, like you kind of see the opposite gender um with the white person, and it's like that's a whole trigger, like seeing black men with white women. And I get there are certain problematic things that can be there, but like if that's not happening and people just make the assumption like, oh, this is like he couldn't even look within their own race. I don't know, there's a whole lot of assumptions being made that are just like you have no idea what their background is and how they met and whatever, or their views on their own race. You have no idea if they bash their own people or if they love their people and they just happen to date someone outside their race. It's that's already a wild thing that personally for me, I'm like, this is kind of a lot. Another thing I'll post in the Discord was like a post that was like, can you be pro-black and date outside your race? I don't even know why this came up on my page on Instagram, but it did. And of course the comments were a crap show. I mean, basically some of it was a simple no, you can't. Some people were like, y'all are tripping. Yes, you can. And just love people. People like, oh, pro-black means you have to build. Anyway, I'm just like, this is like, why am I even reading this? Like, I don't even want to see this conversation. I mean, like, I guess it's interesting, but I guess it's something that's been hashed out and people have strong opinions. And I'm just like, okay, y'all can do this, but I don't know, man. The thing I was gonna say that I was gonna finish, I think, off of what you said, was like, you're better than me for actually going and seeing all of the. I didn't watch all the Breakfast Club or even the original comments, Ebony K. Williams. I just kind of kept seeing people react to the comments. I saw like this other black kind of page. It was called Black Wealth, Black Health. I forget what it's called. That guy reacted with, he has women on, so they reacted and said she can say what she wants, but it's unfortunate because blah blah blah. And I've seen comments supporting her, essentially saying, why can't men scale up and rise up? Which again, ignorance in my head, because there's a whole lot of things about like what even do you make and how can you support, like there's other white collar jobs that don't even make as much as a bus driver that they're not being crapped on. So I just thought, I was like, this is a very strange conversation, honestly. She can do what she can do and say what she wants, and so I'm not at all like, oh, she dare not. I just hope that like people can point out the facts, point out the ignorance, and just leave it at that. But I'm not really bothered, especially as someone who's not even in that field or generally in the like blue collar space. But yeah, sorry, I know that I didn't mean for it to go. I mean, it's interesting. I'm glad we're talking about, but I also know like in such a conversation that
yeah, we
takes long
should.
to unpack.
I know that we sort of had an episode about like black platonic relationships, but that was like we could probably try to do that again because I know I think Ron wasn't able to make it, or he had trouble connecting with the internet, and then I know that Toby, you were like coming home late from an event or something. So like we could definitely try to talk about that with, I guess, I mean, I know that we've kind of spoken about black love. I feel like we kind of want to add in like a different approach. I don't think we really talked about interracial dating. And or just different types of lifestyle dating, I don't think we never really got into like polyamory, have we? We mentioned it, but I don't think we were like spoken about it.
I think what's his name with Yeshua, there was a long time ago where he
talked about veganism though.
Oh, he didn't talk about the poly. I thought he did talk about.
No, we wanted him
Nope.
to come back to talk about polyamory, but we never
Oh,
got around to creating that episode.
Okay, interesting. Fair enough.
Mhm.
Didn't want to hear anyone else. Yeah, that's the problem. It's like,
Yeah.
this doesn't sound productive at all. And I'm like, let's everyone just have your opinions and just. Oh man, just take it up your butt. As they said in was it then Rush Hour, take that metal and shove it up. I'm just like, I don't know. Like I feel like just I don't know. It's interesting.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, no, seriously. That's and see, this is why we love y'all. Like we all bounce
Yeah.
off each other and it keeps us going.
Well,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. Did we
Oh, Ron, you're breaking
figure
up.
out what books
Did-
Amira was talking?
Did we figure out?
Because
Wait, what did we figure out, Ron?
Sorry, yeah, you cut out.
okay, I was asking if we figured out what books was Amira talking about not being taught in schools or being allowed to be in schools or even for the library, the school's library.
She did send me a video on Twitter that I never like. I was only able to watch some of it. I do want to watch it. I'll share it with you guys.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, because it was like, like it like Amira. I like the things that Amira sends because it's very balanced.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of low key to some of the stuff that I miss about, like Roberto, like when he was in the group chat. Yeah. So it was like a book about. I think it was like a book about race, and I guess it had like some pretty valid points. I didn't get a chance to like watch the whole video though, but I'll share it with you guys because it seems like because Amira usually sends some really great things. I don't think she's in the Discord. She should try to get her in the Discord.
Oh yeah. That for sure.
I don't know if she'd download Discord. She doesn't look at she's like 46 and she's probably like, I ain't got time for that. I was like, I don't blame you. She's like, I got 3 apps and that's it.
Right. That's okay. That's her exact age. I didn't even.
I think so. Yeah, I think she's 46. Or she's gonna be. I think her birthday's in July.
Oh, okay. Well, could be Cancer, could be Leo,
I
but
think she's Cancer.
okay.
I could be wrong. It may not even be in July. Might have been in April. I don't know. But so yeah. I mean, a very special Cancer's birthday is coming up soon, though. Gills. I know his birthday is later this month. He's a June Cancer.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Can't remember the date exactly. Anyway. All right. Ron's coming back.
Alrighty. Oh my gosh. That was crazy.
Yeah. Cancer game. But... Oh, next Friday.
Hey.
Woo.
Hey.
Oh, okay, so barely. Okay, that's like right there. Close to the borderline, it seems. Or so, yeah.
No, that's. Oh wait, of Cancer and Gemini.
or Cancer and oh, Gemini's are right now.
Yeah, we're in Gemini right now.
Oh snap! Oh snap! Okay, I have to like, I need to. There's a good friend of mine who's, I'm pretty sure, Gemini, and I'm like, that's awkward because I hope I didn't miss her birthday. But anyway, so yeah, it's close to that borderline because it's like usually me first. Oh no, it wasn't at all. Like I don't read people like that. So, yeah, no, it's nothing like that. I think it was just like I was realizing, like, wait a second, that's coming up so soon. But we are almost halfway through June, with crazy.
Yeah,
Man, don't bring that up.
I know June is like flying by, and it's supposed to be summer, so the days are supposed to be longer. You want to hit Cancer?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh, yeah, no, because circling back before I got rudely interrupted by my internet provider, bunch of bums. Anyways, no, the reason why I was asking is because I've noticed that a bunch of books that I grew up reading on, they're no longer being allowed in the school libraries. Like one of the classic ones, Charlotte's Web.
Oh,
Why not?
it's familiar.
From what I read on a quick internet search, especially like a lot of the southern states, I think it was Kansas, they were saying that Charlotte's Web was banned because of the fact that it spoke about death and the animals could talk. Like it's a kid's book. What kid doesn't want animals to talk to them? Kids would probably be fascinated. But even then, it's like, okay, of course we knew that Charlotte died. You know, that's a no brainer. But at the same time, like our kids are not supposed to learn about death. I mean, they see it all the time. So what's the big deal?
Mm-hmm.
I think,
Yeah,
and I think it's coming from the very super ultra conservative Christian batch. Say that coming off my tongue. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's coming from that. Thank you, Rocky. I mean, Gil. Thank you. Thank you. Enough said. Enough said. Enough said. A matter of fact, you can quote me. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was a donkey that talked to Paul and asked, "Why are you beating me?" You know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like they. Anyways, it it baffles me. The older that I get, the more how I see a lot of things that helped shaped not only my childhood but my peers' childhood is like slowly. I'm trying to tell folks.
I'll give it that.
Trying to tell folks like anyways. So, just like a lot of the books that were very instrumental and very like eye opening are slowly um, being removed because it's like, oh, it's like okay, they're bringing imagination, bringing creativity to life. And even then,
Mhm.
uh, I think my daughter, she was reading The Giver, and I was like,
Mm.
Mhm. The gift.
that's a really The Giver, really good
Yeah,
book.
yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And then my oldest, he messed around with was told that he had to read To Kill a Mockingbird. I was like, dude,
Mm.
that's a very, very good book. And the next one you should read right after that is Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. Again, if you really want to talk about like a lot of racial injustices and a lot of racial issues at the turn of the century for the country, those two books in itself, yes, you should definitely read those because it talks about a lot and it kind of gives you a greater appreciation of what we have, but also at the same time, still understanding that we're still nowhere close to the realities of what we actually need here in this said country. We don't.
Mhm.
We don't. And even then today I just finally finished reading the And There Was Light.
Mm.
Just finally finished reading that book after having that book checked out for about a good 2 months, and I probably accrued about a good couple dollars in fines. I'm okay with that.
Mm.
That is a very good read. If nobody has read that book, I highly, highly, highly suggest read it.
Okay. And
I
there was like, oh
And
yeah,
there
you.
was like,
Mm.
oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like what we're dealing with today, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense of what happened back then and how a lot of that played out as far as what we're dealing with today. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Makes
it's
a
like
lot of
within my
sense.
list for sure.
Oh yeah, that's bad too. I know that sucked. That was like the the golden moment of my elementary going into my middle school career because a lot of my classmates we all had a race to see who could read through the books the fastest. and
Mhm.
and again it was a very well crafted, I call it a fantasy book. It was very well crafted, it was very intriguing, it was one of a kind. It was like, dude, oh heck yeah. I'm like, man, I can't wait till they make the movies because I would love to see the movies. You know, I still prefer reading the books, but the movies were decent. Movies were decent, but read the books; they're better.
I've been debating if I should go and actually read the books
You
because
should.
I just
So wait, which?
Harry Potter.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was losing track of the actual. So that book, I never read, but I also never really watched because family, and that kind of thing. But I did watch a few movies out of order, just like two of them. But
Same, yeah.
yeah,
No,
that's it.
read. Like I said, read the books. They are. They shed a lot more light than what the movies could ever do. They shed a lot more light. I mean, yeah, movies kind of closely portrays what happens in the books, but the books give you a very much deeper, richer detail that the movies can't do because it would be way too long. It would be way too long. But the books, oh yeah, yes, yes, 1,000% yes.
Okay. I'm gonna possibly. I just don't like fantasy. This is the thing.
Hmm.
True.
Like that. But I just feel like I don't know. because like literally every single one of my friends have like read Harry Potter and are like, you like, especially in college, man. Felt like I was being bullied for never reading it. Like it's like, oh, what house are you in? I remember I asked that question on Twitter. It's like, what, like, I don't know anything about Harry Potter, but based on my tweets, what do you think I would fall into? People voted Ravenclaw.
oh, oh,
Yeah, like this was probably like a year or so ago. I asked this. So I was just curious because I wanted to know. I want to be part of a house.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything about them. And people said Ravenclaw. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I couldn't. It's like I'm like I don't even know enough to know what goes where. But it is interesting when people like do those fictional sort-ins, or like because you could like be like, hey, guess what sign I am, or guess what the
Myers-Briggs.
thank you, yeah. But those are actually real things that like exist, and like not in just fiction.
Some people don't believe it either. People think.
Yes, but in terms of like, it's interesting when people kind of be like, what maybe would you have been? Even like Facebook used to have those like, what thing am I? Like those quizzes way back in the day, where it's like, what video game character, what character from this show would I be? So it is interesting sometimes when it's like, hey, based on how I am, what do you think I would fall into? Which side of the force would I have been on, or which I don't know, like just random kind of stuff. There was another thing that I think definitely table for now, but there was something the book thing. So that is like a really great conversation when it comes to books. Not just like inside the classroom and what's being banned, but like actual like books and kind of suggestions and things to read. Which can always be discussed in the Discord, but I think in terms of having like a stream and talking about sort of books,
that would be nice. Like
it's really good, and it's come up kind of like in pieces of other streams. And I think it would be cool to have something to refer back to for sure. Because Lord knows when it comes to like the chat and other things, unless you like really watch a replay and hope that you find where these things were mentioned, it's like, yeah, like it would be really cool to like see people's thoughts on like essential books for life, for things that should be in the school system, things that maybe change your life or whatever. So a lot of good little nuggets here.
I'll say this and then we're done. Rocky, I think you're probably like spot on, because the last two times that I've done like a Harry Potter sorting hat, I found myself split between Gryffindor and Ravenclaw, between those two. And for you to say Gryffindor, I'm like, okay, that'd make sense. That makes sense. Like I can deal with that one. Sure.
Now I'm looking it up. For Ravenclaws possesses the traits of cleverness, wisdom, wit, intellectual ability, and creativity. Huh.
Case rest. Case rest.
Yeah. That's accurate.
That has to be where Hermione was. I feel like that was already like, I had a feeling, I was like, this is probably Hermione's house. Based on just what I know of the show and like the characters. Very given Princess Zelda, Triforce of Wisdom, I think. Well, I don't remember exactly how we sorted ourselves in the Triforce, but I want to say there's a chance you're Wisdom L. Hope it's not just because you're the woman on the show, but
yeah, I'm not sure. Because I don't think I was courage, and I don't think I was strength. So it probably was wisdom.
Yo, yeah, you're definitely courage, Toby. Yes. Eating expired food. Yeah, that takes
I know.
a lot of courage, sir.
Thank you. I humbly accept.
Yeah, you're definitely courage.
Yeah, and on that note, I think we could. I guess it'll. We're taking the courage to sadly end the stream.
Right.
It'll. It's wise for us to go to sleep a little early, even though a lot of us don't have the strength to leave.
Come on.
So, as always, we love y'all. Thank you
Mhm.
all so much for hanging out with us. Sorry that we started a little late today. But as always, next week we'll have a new topic under education in schools. But as always, you could always chat with us in the Discord. I believe you all pretty much follow us. Um, the heart of a Gryffindor, the mind of the physicality of a Hufflepuff, and the ego of a Slytherin.
I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
Toby
I love
is
it.
house hopping for real.
How's hopping?
Oh my gosh, just collecting them all.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
thank
you,
you. I
Gil,
really appreciate
Rocky, Chad,
Yes.
everybody, Mish, as always.
Yes.
it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. As always, we're gonna have to bring this chat to a close.
Mhm.
But definitely catch us in the Discord. If you ever want to
Yes.
share anything, any ideas for topics, that's greatly appreciated. And yeah, if you ever want to join us live, you're always welcome to. Let us know.
Yes.
And we will see y'all next week. We love
Yeah.
y'all.
Love you
And
all.
see you in Discord. Ciao.